Video. Today I'm going to be doing another episode of What Are Me, so let's get right into the video. Apocalypse! Okay, guys. So, you know how on your settings you have all these cool things, but then down here you have these toggleable options. Well, I was thinking that we could add a harder trophies toggleable option, and I'll just go into single player and talk about what I want for the harder trophies option. So it's gonna be pretty simple. Well, no, not simple. It's gonna be really hard. But first, before I do the toggleable trophies option, I'm going to talk about a limping and knockdown mechanic that I want for the dinos. So the limping and knockdown mechanic is caused when you attack their legs. You attack one leg enough for 1/4 of their health, and they'll start limping because they can't use that leg because it's really hurt. If you attack the other leg that much as well, so you attack both legs, then they'll just fall over into the knockout thing, except for they can still attack you with whatever attacks they have. So they're in the unconscious position, but their heads still move around, they can still bite you and stuff. So they can still do damage, but they're down. They can't get up. So that was the idea for the knockdown mechanic, and that might help, and that will help out with some of the harder trophy mechanic ideas that I have. So, one of my ideas was of course, that, well, the new trophy mechanic. How does it work? Well, it's not very simple. Again, it's called harder trophies. So, the harder trophies toggleable options, it's going to make things quite a bit harder by, when you toggle it on, you have to attack a creature's certain parts to get the trophy. For example, if you wanted to get an Argentavis foot, you'd have to attack its foot over and over again, just repeatedly attack. And why did my games freeze? And why is Blue in a river breeding? No, why are you guys breeding? No, Blue. Rexy, what are you doing next to there? So guys, anyway, or if you wanted to get a UT lung, you'd have to attack its chest to where its lungs would be repeatedly, and then when you carve it, then you get the lungs. You know, stuff like that to make it harder. And yeah, you know, stuff like that would just generally make it harder. That's what I would really like. Because creative players like us still get trophies the normal way. Sure, it would be a toggleable option so that it's not just, so that doesn't make it harder for everybody. Easygoing players who are still noobs who want to play the normal game in survival and not in creative, sure, they can simply do that. They can just leave it and not toggle it. But more experienced players who already have really good stuff and might want to make it more of a challenge to themselves to get the trophies. Like for an Alpha Carno arm, you need to find the Alpha Carno, but then you need to cut its arm off. And of course, ranged weapons won't be able to do this. You have to use close range, sharp weapons. Like a sword. You couldn't use stuff like arrows. That would be too OP. Arrows don't slice. They're just ranged weapons. Or lasers. They don't cut, do they? But a tech sword, now that would be perfectly fine. You'd be able to cut its arm straight off with that. But yeah, you'd have to do a certain amount of damage to that area. For example, if you wanted a Megalodon tooth, you'd fight a normal or Alpha Megalodon and just hit it in the head repeatedly until eventually one of the teeth goes flying off, you know? Like how if you damage somebody in the tooth, you kind of hit them enough until eventually the tooth breaks loose. You have to do that to the Megalodons. Or if you want the Alpha Megalodon fin, you have to attack it in the back fin until eventually you cut that thing clean off. And of course, those things you need a sickle to carve the trophies. So you couldn't just be a noob and find an Alpha Raptor and get it. No, you need a sickle to carve the trophies. Or a sauropod vertebra, which is going to be really hard to get. You need to attack its neck, tail, or back to get the vertebra. And then carve it, and bam, you got yourself a vertebra. And the Alpha Tyrannosaurus skull, you need to attack its head until when you carve it, bang, you get yourself a skull. You know, stuff like that to just make the game a little bit harder. I would just love that. Making the game more difficult for people. That's the kind of thing that most of us really, really want. It'll make, well, not most of us, but I just really, really want. It'll be amazing if we could get that. If we could just have that lovely, jubbly system of harder trophies, toggleable. Because I would really love that. If you added that into the game wildcard, I would use it. I would enable it because, of course, I play with OP settings. So I would definitely use that. Definitely. I would love that and use it every time. Except for on my tribal server. Actually, I might actually do that on my tribal server to make it harder to actually fight the gods. Yeah, I'll do that on my tribal server as well, so it's not as easy to get to the gods and kill them. And wow, why is this turned off? I don't know why that generator's off. Why did I turn off all my turrets? So yeah, I think that would be really cool. Like how you get a wyvern talon is you have to attack either this part of their wing or their feet enough to get the talons of your wyverns. Of course, for the titans and bosses, you'd still get the trophies. Because that would just make it way too hard to get boss trophies. So it's not going to be like that for the bosses. It's just going to be like that for your base creatures. You know, stuff like that would just make it would make it such a better game for us hard and advanced players. That just want a challenge. You know, those players that want Ark to be more challenging should get that option. Just like they want a challenge, they get a challenge. Ooh, I got the Kentrosaurus dossier. That's nice. But yeah, most of us players that just want a challenge would love that. So, please wildcard add that. I mean, what other trophies are there? Oh yeah, the Tyrannosaurus arms. You'd have to attack it in the arms. You know, stuff like that. I think that would be really cool, and some Ark players probably do too. You know? It would just be really awesome if you implemented that wildcard. I would love it. So more people than just me would probably love it. There are probably a lot more people. So yeah, I hope that's implemented because it'll make the game so much more of a challenge and like a video game that I'm used to, where it's really hard to advance and earn trophies and stuff. Just the people who want a challenge, you know. It's kind of like how there's easy, medium, and hard game modes in most games. However, Ark just have normal and primitive plus. So if you added that, it would kind of give the hard game mode people a little bit more to play with. Those people that want something to be hard, but just can't quite get that in Ark because of how easy it is to earn those trophies to get to the bosses. Doing that would make it so much harder to get to the bosses. And I would just love that. You know? Like, what other trophies are there in the game? Except for the boss trophies, because those you always get. It would make elements so much more rare. I mean, the Alpha Tyrannosaurus tooth, you'd have to whack it in the head enough as well. Of course, the skull would be a lot more rare, like it currently is. But the tooth and stuff, you'd have to hit it in the head until the tooth goes flying out of the head and then pick that up. Same with the mosasaur. You know, it'll just be really hard. The ones we actually have to cut something off would require sharp weapons, but the teeth, we just require any kind of weapon, because you can knock out a tooth with an arrow, you know? So yeah, I like that idea for the harder trophies. Oh, I just did a proper skateboard thing. Just going up the cliff. Oh yeah, that's like a proper skateboarder thing. But yeah, guys, I hope that gets added into the game. Because, you know, it's like, oh, I need this trophy. I need 5 Alpha Carno arms. You go to kill an Alpha Carno. Oh, then you carve its body. What? I didn't get an arm. Oh, right. You attack its arm with your tech sword. Shoom. Arm comes off. Arm falls off. Or, you know, if you just want an Argent foot, just constantly attack the feet. Just bowl of the Argent and then attack its feet. You know, stuff like that. Or if you wanted an Alpha Raptor Claw, you have to attack it in the feet. Of course, you'd have to, and of course, while attacking its feet, that would also allow you to knock it down, downing it, which would be pretty good as well. Because if you down the thing, then it won't be able, then it'll just be laying there. Of course, its head will still be able to attack you, but nothing else really will. So that'll also be useful, so it'll make it harder. But the knockdown mechanic would go really well with this new option, the knockdown mechanic, which should just be a thing in the base game, where if you attack something in its legs enough, it'll just be knocked down. And if you attack one leg enough, it'll start to limp. Or basically, if you attack every single leg but one, like for the Titans, you have to attack all of its legs, all 4 of its legs, each doing something like a 1/12 of its health. Or if you just got all 3, we just start to do a limping thing. Actually, wait, right, you'd have to damage 1, because it would have to stop trying to damage that leg, because if you attack at least more than 2, you know, like with 4-legged creatures, if you attacked its 2 front legs, it would rear up on its hind legs. Or if you attacked its 2 back legs, then it would just kind of barely walk on them and just limp with only its back, and just limp with it protecting its back legs and stuff like that. And if you damage most of the legs, except for one, if it was 4-legged, it would fall over. If it was 2-legged, you'd damage 1 and it would limp. And of course, if it was 2-legged, you'd also have to damage both of them, and then bang, it collapses on the ground the same way that the knockout animation works. So it just on the ground, but it can still attack while it's down. Like, if you did that to a Bronto, it would still be able to whack you with its tail. You know? But of course, the more health something has, the harder that would be. Because, you know, it requires you to do like a 1/12 of its health to each leg. So it would be a lot harder the more powerful the thing is. Which is why leveling up health would still become better. You know, I just really like the idea of stuff like this. So, Wildcard, please implement this into game, and that's all that I have for now, folks. So, hopefully you all have enjoyed, and I'll see you all later. I'm looking on my hands. How is that evil? Well, bye!